Today we're going to focus on revelation and human language. So far in this course we've been talking about God and identifying God with the transcendent. And that's an important point to make, and Albl does make this point in the first chapter of his text, that not everyone who experiences the transcendent will call it God. The term God is often reserved for a second person perspective on the ultimate reality. That means, well, what it means when we usually talk about God in our Western cultures, we're talking about a person who created and animates the universe. Now, not everybody who experiences the transcendent will experience that as an experience of a person. For example, in Buddhism, the 12 links of dependent origination are seen as the ultimate reality. They're the way that the whole universe comes into being. They are not a person, they are an impersonal process. Taoism says that the way that can be known or named is not the nameless Tao. It does not define or limit experiences of the transcendent to a person or a interpersonal relationship. Newer religion, we can debate, if they've if this movement has hit the definition of religion yet, but you do see people in the United States especially practicing Jediism, which is kind of a religious interpretation of the transcendent force in the Star Wars universe. So the Jedi see the force not as see the transcendent not as a person, but as an impersonal force that flows through all things and unites all things. And besides these third person, these impersonal ways to know that people can experience the transcendent is also sometimes experienced as self, as in the case of Atman in Hinduism. A famous and spiritually significant saying within Hinduism is Atman is Brahman. So in the Hindu tradition, they acknowledge experiencing of the transcendent as the experience of your true self. So some people, may say they don't believe in God, but they might also claim to believe in the transcendent. Again, what they're saying is that they don't believe in God as a person. They might believe that God can be experienced in an impersonal or in an impersonal way, or as the true self. We do see a commonality that'll help maybe understand why we talk about the transcendent as God, like why we who believe in God or see God as another person would experience the transcendent in that way. And that's because these transcendent experiences go beyond time and space. So in the transcendent experience, when people have these, they talk about feeling a union with all things. Again, when space breaks down, the division between things break down, boundaries between things break down, and people have experiences of union. Now this is often then understood as love, because that's what love does. Love brings things together. This is the force, this is the power of love, so to speak. People also talk about not just feeling union with everything that exists, but also feeling a union with the source of things, a connection with the ground of being, or that from which everything arises. And finally, people have the experience of the infinite. Again, when you transcend time, transcend space, you're not just going, partially a way around, but some way around, but you're having an experience of oneness with everything and beyond. So you can understand how these experiences of the transcendent, how they are going to fit our understanding of God. Right? So in other words, since we believe that God created the universe and that God holds all things in being, right? They're the source of being, that God is infinite. We see experiences of the transcendent as experiences of God. And we're going to see experiences of the transcendent as experiences of the Creator, the person, right? That other person with whom we can have a personal relationship. Right? Again, it's not the only way that you can experience the transcendent. It's not the only way that you can experience God, so to speak. But it is the main way that we do it within the Christian tradition, within the Jewish tradition, and within the Muslim tradition. Okay, what is revelation? Well, the word is from the root word reveal, right, which means to show. Right? So in Revelation, God is sharing himself with us. Right? It's God revealing himself to us. Now, I'm going to use the male pronouns for God throughout the course because it is just the traditional way we talk about God. There are some good reasons that people give for using a male pronoun for God, and there are some not so good reasons that people give for using a male pronoun for God. I'm just going to use it as part of the tradition in this case, as an acknowledgement to the historical revelation and the way that God reveals himself to us through history. But please note that the Catechism of the Catholic Church and church tradition make it quite clear that God is neither male nor female. God is pure spirit. Okay, so by using the male pronoun for God, I'm not limiting anyone's experience of God. I'm not limiting the way anyone wants to talk about God to just that pronoun. Okay, glad we could get through that. How does God share himself with us? How does God reveal himself to us? Well, we talk about two ways. First of all, general revelation. General revelation is basically nature. Right? It's the way that God reveals himself in and through the created world. So we believe that you can come to know God through coming to know his creation. Right? It'd be like if you were a fan of a particular poet, musician, or visual artist. You might look at their work and you might come to understand that person. You might come to know something about them from their work. Right? Well, that's a general revelation. We believe that you can know God through nature, through the world that he's created. We also believe in special revelation, or historical revelation, and that's a special revelation that God shared with us through history. The first stage is the covenant that God formed with the people of Israel. And that is a partial revelation. He did not reveal everything about himself to them all at once. No, he started with a partial revelation with Israel, and then he revealed himself fully when he incarnated as Jesus Christ, when he became man to share himself with us fully.